Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Backpack Trader Training Room for Thursday, June 16th, 2022. And taking a moment for the required risk disclosure. This room is meant for educational and information purposes only. It is not to be considered financial advice. The risk of loss in trading futures, forex, equities, options, and crypto of any kind can be substantial. And let's see where we are this morning. All right. YM is flat at the moment, and no trades have set up yet. We're just a minute or so away from market open. Little under a minute and a half. Please do say hello. Don, soybeans is going to be a little farther down the road because there's not a September contract on soybeans. It jumps to November. So right now, and let's see, here's my volume chart on it. The November contract is only running about a little less than 9,000 contracts this morning. July is still at about 12,900. So it's going to go probably to early part of July, I think. But keep an eye on the volume. I haven't looked at when the official rollover is, but as is normal, we are watching volume. So the next contract is going to be November on soybeans. And markets are just opened. Quick short showing up that has already hit money management, so that went too fast to catch. Well, that set up just before our start time anyway, so definitely not a trade that we can get in. Energies this morning were a bit problematic. Crude, microcrude, and unleaded were difficult sessions this morning. We'll come back to those in a few minutes. All right, the YM is flat again. Let's see what soybeans did here. Soybeans went too far on that. It had already hit target 1 before market open. So there is your first trade. And that's a no trade. It bounced up and back down in 3 seconds all the way to target 1. So that one is off the table. And that has stopped out on its trailer. So soybeans is flat. YM has a long at 86. Unfortunately, this is looking a little bit like a reaction trade, but we'll see. See if we can get up through the 50 to get to money management. Soybeans still flat. Pound Aussie had a nice. I didn't turn those off again. While I'm thinking about it now, before we look at it, turn those long trades off. Or turn those non-trade plans off, trade plan trades off. YM, hey, long is taking heat now. But yeah, Don, in answer to your question, I would say then YM stops out for a full stop out. I would say check check soybeans volume every morning before you start trading to see when the volume migrates to the November contract. All right, did we get anything? There's our start time on the Russell. Okay, 9 seconds on that Russell, so should be a winner. Targets 3 and 4 and trailing. And a short on soybeans. 1709 even. Target at 0675. 0550 and 04. Getting within 2 ticks of target 1 and money management. Energies, by the way, did roll over to the August contract this morning, or crude did. Unleaded rolled over yesterday, or transitioned volume-wise yesterday. And of course, we're on the September contract on our index futures already. That happened last week. All right, and there is a short, another long on the YM, stopping and reversing to short at 99.87. It looks like. Did we hit it? And we just triggering in there. So the YM is in the short, taking a full loss and a bit of a loss on the, and now we have a stop and reverse back to long. I would take that to 30,001, and it just triggered in anyway. 30,000 is a big number, and with the stop and reverse adjustment would have put it at 98, and I certainly wouldn't want to enter 2 ticks below the 30,000 mark. But it looks like we got ticked in, so back in the long. This is trade number 4 on the YM. YM looks to be in a pretty much of a downward trajectory, but now it's consolidating and we're getting caught in some noise. And the Russell stopping out after a nice winter. Trailer getting probably half again, target 4. And there is a trade that looks, the short touches the stop and the entry in the same bar. And so you just have to dissect, if you're watching that one, you know which one it did first and whether or not it's a valid trade. Otherwise, if you're testing, you've got to dissect the bar and find out what happened first. If it touched the stop first and then hit the entry, it's still a valid trade, and it would be another winner. If not, it's not a valid trade. Depending on timing, could be either avoided or untradeable or a full stop out. Okay, stop and reversal adjustment on the soybeans trade kept us in the short to hit all 3 targets. And so you have to trail manually at this point. So the stop should be at 1708. And it looks like it will likely move down to 0650 on the close of this bar. I definitely would keep it up above the 50. Yeah, 0650 for the stop. And stopping out. So that completes the session for a one and done on soybeans. YM still seeing a little bit of noise. Now, did we get close enough? 932, and the SMA is at 944, so nope, not close enough. YM in a downtrend, so we're basically looking for, at this point, trades off of the moving averages, hopefully, to get into the shorts. Otherwise, we're looking at attempted reversals on the longs. And a third short trade on the Russell. Lots of time to get into that. Looks like it's hesitating a bit at the moment. But short on the Russell. Soybeans is done. The Russell is short. We'll come back and look at the micro NQ in a few minutes. While I've got a minute, keep an eye on the YM. The crude full contract. We had the short that was just little bit too early. Started to move about 5 seconds before our start time, and went to money management without coming back to an entry we could take. So our first trade is the long, meanders around, finally gives us a full stop out for 24 tick risk, 48 ticks on 2 positions. We then come to the long here, and there is a long on the YM, punching through the 20 SMA. That's a trade that we probably would take. 921, decent size. Decent size trade. Well, it looks like it's now it pulled back to the 20. Is it going to continue lower or bounce back higher? And the Russell short stops out. That's an avoidable long. Touch the entry and quick move back down fairly quickly, it looks like. 16 seconds on the bar, but in all likelihood, it touched the entry almost immediately and then pull back. Anyway, long on crude, hitting target 1 and target 2, getting us 13 and 22 ticks. So 35 ticks, and we were down 48, still down 13, looking for another trade. And that comes in the form of the short here. And unfortunately, that goes quickly to full stop out. So that's a loss of another 64 ticks. So 77 tick loss on the 3-trade session this morning. That will happen once in a while. More often than not, it's positive, but sometimes it just gets a little out of sync. "30-second bar on the Russell. The Russell's not moving rapidly this morning, so 4th short trade on the Russell. We have 2 solid winners, or possibly 2 solid. One solid, one maybe a loss, and then another short that's hit money management, stops at 1677.7, trying to push down for target 3 at, looks like 1675 even. And micro crude, similar to the full crude, you get the long that meanders around for a full stop. A second long gets only target 1 and a partial right at target 1. And then you pick up the same short that's a full stop out. So, and the YM hitting money management. Okay, excuse me. The first long there was a full stop out. This new long has hit money management and target 1. The stop now at 923. And it looks like the Russell gave us a break-even stop out after a target 2, if you're depending on whether or not you're using that. Good morning, Pamela. $9.29 for the YM stop. And I believe did it get there? Yep, it just touched the stop. And also touched the entry on the short trade. Probably took us out of the stop, but most likely didn't get a chance to get into that short trade. That bounced through really quickly. And then went up for a full stop out, but that one I would call not tradable. That was a 35 tick target, but the YM out of sync this morning as well. Soybeans getting kind of noisy. Looks like the long is definitely, well, is in, because we didn't get money management yet, looks like. Pound Aussie. Looks like you may have had a couple of chances to get in. But if you got into that, it was a full stop out. Then you pick up this short that ends up stopping and reversing at 7518. And that has hit target 1, 2, has hit all 4 targets. And trailer is moving on. Big trailer going all the way up to 57.9, 57.90. Yeah, 75.79. 14, 22, 31, and 40 on the targets. So 36, 67, 107 on your targets. Actually, less 8 for the stop and reverse. So 99 on the targets. And the entry would have been 75.18 to 75.79 for 61 ticks. So 160 pips today on the pound Aussie on that long trade. What did we lose on the first trade? Our risk was 18 pips. So 90 pip loss on the first trade. We're going to actually be pretty close to a break even. Second trade was 509 to 518. 45 pips. So our net is plus 15 pips on the day on 3 trades. Getting it done and not taking too terribly long. It only took about an hour to do all of that, which is fairly quick for the pound Aussie. And YM with another long that's looking in trouble. Right down at the stop, getting within just a tick or two. Stop at 48, and there's the stop out. So 1, 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so okay. 6 trade was our winning trade, so getting a little redemption on the 6th trade, but a losing session on the YM. 10 a.m. crude session coming up in a little under 9 minutes. Nine-second bar on the second bar, so chances are you might have gotten an entry there to get into this Russell short. And hitting target 3, as well as trailing at the moment. So let's take a look and see what unleaded did. Starting at 9 o'clock, this short was just like crude. The short was just a little too early, but big move on the short. The long was a full stop out, second full stop out, a third full stop. So also unleaded being difficult. Finally picking up a short trade that goes to target 2 and trails down almost to target 1. Then we pick up a long that takes a lot of heat and comes back up, hits money management and target 2. That's 5 trades. And picks up a trailer halfway between target 1 and 2. We can take one more trade. It's going to be a long. Wow. 2 bars on 3 bars printing at the same time on the entry of that. But we'd get in on the pullback. If you want to have it test the 50 before getting in, since it spiked through like that but failed to get higher, I would certainly be in agreement with that. And it does end up with a full stop out. So if you took that trade, that ends the session for unleaded. And there's a break-even trade. So that would end either way. So nasty morning this morning. I don't know why Troy leaves these for me. Russell being the bright spot in the morning. I will have to touch base with him and see what trade plans. I suspect he's running pretty much default trade plans on those CPX2 or counterpunch charts for the Russell and the NQ. And there's the MNQ. Let's go back to 9:34 on my timestamps. That's 8:34 exchange time. And they're missing a big down move. And that was 3 minutes in. Then we get the up move at the end of that. Looks like 7 seconds to target 1. 10 seconds to money management. At the rate that was moving up, I seriously doubt you had a chance to get into that. But it was a nice, successful trade. Yeah. Okay, the short, you have plenty of time to get in. You have a stop and reverse to long at 14.25. It does touch it, but the question is, the first bar was 1 second. I suspect that pulled back quickly enough. You didn't have time to do anything about moving stops or getting a new order in. I would move my stop to the entry plus 2 would be 25. Looks like we got to 75. I think I'd make my entry at 315 even, or make my stop and entry at 315 even. But it actually hits target 1 and target 2. You get in, you're trailing here. So you can pick up this trailer, hitting target 3 and trailing. So a nice short. Targets 3 and 4 and a nice trailer. You're actually still in this trade most likely. When it pulls back to so you're not in jeopardy of losing more, and you have another shot at the stop and reverse, stay in the long. As in this case, it could very well go in your favor. And you're not going to be any worse off going back to where the stop and reverse was, but you had plenty of time to then move it. But that would have the quick move there would have kept you in the short for a very nice, probably first trade. And then we come with the long. That's going to be a bigger one because the wick on the setup bar. 6 seconds to the close, so that you got a chance. And there's a wick on the third bar, definitely in that. And unfortunately, it looks like it's just a break even. Definitely in the short. Stop and reverse at 86.50. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you're going to take a full stop on the short, or most in all likelihood, it got there in 4 seconds. You didn't even have time to move it. And back down to the short. There's a pullback to definitely get you in. That stop and reverse is avoided so far. Target 1, so you should probably be trailing at this point. Target 2, target 3, money management, and now trailing the subsequent trades. So there's your trailer now. Hitting all 4 targets and the trailer. There again, stop and reverse not quite getting in, so stay with your short trade. And 10 a.m. mini session. We are micro crude is flat. Let's see what the crude oil did. Same thing, where there's our first trade is long. And pulling back. So see if crude can come back and head back up here. Filtered short trades. Those are squeeze zone and full stop out for our first trades. Crude continuing to be a problem this morning. Micro NQ being good to us. Questions or comments? We're coming to the end of what we can watch. We got a couple more trades we can take on crude. Come some almost $15 off the highs of last week and earlier this week. On crude, so that's a 12 or 13% move. That would be more like about half that when crude was back at $60 a barrel. Or that 12 or 13% move would be about half that. It would be more like $7.50 or something like that. All right, no trades. Looking at the moment for long trades on crude. We'll have to pull back into the moving averages to get a short at this point, looks like. And crude going to new session lows again. And there's a long. And that is looking successful. Coming up to the 50 EMA, it's going to have to push through it to get to target. And coming back, still didn't get to money management. So this could be trouble for that trade. And a short trade. Stop and reverse at 62, which it did touch. It looks, no, it only got down to 63. So still in the long on the full crude. So the question is, will we get another leg down or will it go up from here? So at present, we're still in the long. So looking for money management up, and there's money management in the long. And target 1 and target 2. So stop and reverse adjustment, saving us there and getting us two targets out of it. 52 ticks on the targets, 20 and 32. So that puts us POQ because our loss on the first trade was 22 ticks. Times 2 positions are 44 and getting 52. So we're 8 ticks positive, and that is a POQ on 2 trades. So 10 a.m. crude session is done. Any questions or anything anybody wants to see? Okay, that's right. We got positive already on the pound Aussie, so we're POQ there. All right. Do we have questions or anything anybody wants to see this morning? I'm going to check that. Nothing new. That's about it so far this morning. Sorry, I'm looking at a trade on another chart. Now I suppose we can take a look at the micro crude. Remember, these are August charts. So micro crude, the 10 o'clock session. You've got the long there. Yeah, should have been in. Then you have the short, or I'm sorry, the second long. That one was how big? That was the same 22 tick loss, so 44 ticks. This one is break even rather than ending up with a stop and reverse. It goes break even on the long. No trigger on the short there. The short here triggers pretty quickly. Stops and reverses at 111. And actually, I would push that up to 113 with a spike back here. I would have pushed that up to push your stop up to 13 as well. So enter the long at 13. So it stays in the short, comes back, even though it's tracking the long. It comes back, hits target 1 and target 2 for 39 ticks, along with the 2 you got here. It's 41 ticks, so we're still down 3, but that's pretty much a break-even session on 3 trades. And that did nicely. All right, I've got no questions or comments, so I am going to bring it to a close this morning. A tough session. The Russell and the MNQ did well this morning, but our energies and the YM had a tough time. Break even on the pound Aussie. Good session on soybeans with a one and done. But our energies, the YM, having a tough time. All right. Energies on August contracts now. Index futures on September, rolling from June. Soybeans still on the July contract. Next contract there is going to be November. And so far, the volume is still on the July contract. Just keep an eye on that. And have a good afternoon, good trading tomorrow, and a good weekend. We'll see everybody on Monday. Sounds like Troy is into his last week in Buenos Aires this week, or this coming week. So we'll continue with that, and I will see you on Monday and Wednesday. Well, I'll see you Tuesday and Thursday. So long until next week.